So we are entering the Eisenhower Tunnel. It's called, I think, the Eisenhower-Johnson Tunnel. After coming up pretty much straight uphill from the Denver area. Look at our MPGs. .1, and that's basically going straight uphill on Interstate 70 coming out of Denver. You see it's 27 miles, give or take. I mean, it's not straight uphill, it's a lot of up and down, but your trend is that you're going uphill. I think we're at about 11,000 feet right now, give or take. And so we're entering what some people call the Ike Gauntlet. And it's a long stretch of downhill, pretty steep downhill grades, with not a lot of up and down. And a lot of people use this stretch of highway to test how well a truck can handle a big trailer going downhill for extended periods. Like, look at this guy here in this GMC. That's like about a 24, 28 foot trailer, plus an ATV in the bed of the truck. So, you know, if you've got a truck or a large SUV and you're towing heavy loads, you want to know that it can handle a long downhill stretch comfortably without trying to get away from you, you know? And that's why bigger trucks, especially diesels, have all kinds of special braking strategies and trailer brake controllers, and a diesel will also have an exhaust brake because it can't generate engine braking any other way than with an exhaust brake. It doesn't have a throttle like a gasoline engine does that can generate engine braking to slow the truck down. So you don't have to spend all this time on the brakes. Typical action of this hybrid system, the Powerboost system. You know, when you're not needing engine power, the engine will shut off, and then for a little while afterward, it'll drive the truck on electric power, and then you see the engine just came on. Stuck behind a gravel truck here. So the $1 million question with the F-150 hybrid is, what's it going to do on a long downhill stretch? Is it going to just keep the engine off and try to use nothing but the hybrid system to slow the truck down? That electric motor, which is, I think, 50 horsepower. Or is it going to actually bring the engine back in and have it do some engine braking? So we're going to reset the MPGs. You see it's at 0. Coming out of the tunnel here at 11,000 feet of elevation. And so we'll set it at like the speed limit. I think the speed limit's like 50 miles an hour. Make that 60. And we'll just see what happens. So immediately what you notice is that it's starting to try to get away from us. It's going 67. Okay, now it's doing some engine braking. Maybe it might even be bringing the mechanical brakes in as well and slowing itself down. Okay, engine is off. It has slowed down to 63, 62. Essentially coasting downhill. Okay, and so look at the cruise. It's set at 60, and the truck is maintaining 60 or 61. Okay, on what again is a really steep downhill grade, without having to get the engine into the mix and do a lot of engine braking. So all it's doing right now is electric braking. Okay, and look at that. Now the engine came back on. So maybe it decided it needed some engine braking. Or maybe what happened is that the electric motor fully charged the hybrid battery, which doesn't take that much. It's just a 1.5 kilowatt hour battery. And once that battery is fully charged, you can't do more electric braking because it's got nowhere to put that electricity. You know, it can't stuff more charge or more energy into a battery that is already topped off. So now we're doing engine braking, traditional engine braking at like, okay, you see it downshifted into 6th gear. It's at 3,000. And it's down, it's what are we trying to say? It's maintaining the vehicle speed with the truck engine. Look at our MPGs, 222. Look at our electric miles though, 0.7. So in 2.5 miles of driving, when it says 0.7, maybe that means it only did 0.7 miles of electric braking. Something like that. Okay, and now look at the MPGs, 260, coasting downhill. All it's doing is it's allowing the engine to rev up to 3,000 to generate engine braking. It's not burning any gas whatsoever. And it's holding the truck with no trouble at all. Cruise control is set at 60, and we're going 60. So what we're gonna try now is see what happens when we increase the speed on the cruise control a little bit. Let's say to 65. What's gonna happen then? Okay, it is still using the engine. And we're in 3,000, 3,250 in 6th gear. Going down a very, very steep grade. Lane keeping is working like a champ. Cruise control is set at 65 and it's going 66. That's fine. Look at our MPGs now. 374. That's kind of hilarious. But yeah, you know, we got no trouble and no drama. We have not touched the brakes a single time going down this really, really, really steep downhill grade. Once again, as we've seen in a lot of other situations, the F-150 is a very drama-free truck. Okay. So it held 60 no problem, it's holding 65 no problem. Let's see what happens if we bring the cruise back down to 60. Okay. It just slowed the truck right down to 60. And it slowed us down even more than that because the lane keeping, it saw that we were behind an 18-wheeler. And it slowed us down to like the low 50s. Okay. And now it's trying to get us back up to 60. Traffic permitting, we're at 55. $58. And 60. Look at our MPGs now. 403. We talked about it earlier. Colorado is beautiful in the winter. Absolutely beautiful in the winter. As long as it doesn't happen to be snowing on the day you're driving through it. You know, we got lucky. It snowed pretty hard, somewhere around 1.5 or 2 feet last weekend. And then the weather blew right out of town and the sun came back out and it's beautiful again. 450 MPGs. We've gone 6.2 miles. So it'll have no trouble maintaining 60. We were up to 66 briefly, but look what it's doing. It's trying to slow us down. With a little bit of engine braking. And it's got us down to 63, 62. Let's set the cruise at 70 and see what happens. Okay. It goes right up to 70, as you would expect, because we're going down such a steep downhill grade. And it holds it at 70 easily. Without letting it get away from us. And now we're in 10th gear, we're at 1500 RPM. So it's possible that there's, see, look what's happening. The MPGs are coming down. It was at like 450, and now it's down to 331, 333. What that means is that it's starting to burn a little bit of gas. But what's surprising is that it's not using electricity to power the truck. You know, our electric MPGs, our electric miles, it's stuck at 0.7. So at no point did the truck decide, okay, I need a little more speed. Let's put some of that electricity back into the drivetrain to power the engine or to power the vehicle. Or maybe it did. Maybe it used a little bit, but it wasn't using exclusively electricity. So it couldn't call it electric miles. Now look what's happening. MPGs are dropping like a rock because we are starting to go back up hill. And now we're down to 220. And now we're down to 197, just like that. $150. Yeah, all that gas savings is going right out the window now that we're having to go back uphill. But something else that's interesting that's happening is that we're not having to use a ton of boost. Okay, now we are. Earlier we weren't. Maybe it was using some electric assist. And once again, we did not have to think really all that hard about any of this. We set the cruise at whatever speed we wanted it to hold, and it held that speed. And we did not touch the brakes a single time going down that really, really, really steep downhill slope. I mean, the truck basically doesn't really ever get into a situation where it doesn't know what to do. They spent a lot of time developing this system and working on it so it would handle, you know, anything you throw at it. Beautiful, beautiful scenery. It's the middle of March, so it's, you know, it's not the dead of winter. We're coming up on the beginning of spring. Absolutely beautiful area. All right, well, thanks everybody. We thought you'd appreciate seeing how this truck handles the downhill portion of the so-called Ike Gauntlet on its own with no trailer, using a combination of engine braking and electric braking and the cruise control, and probably a little bit of mechanical braking to just get it where it needed to go and not make the driver do any extra work. Awesome, outstanding truck. Thanks, we'll talk to you later.